Hey, 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 everyone. This is Anne Marie. Bold Girl Will Travel. Take my glasses off unless I need it. I hope everyone's doing well. I haven't been on here for, I guess, 2 weeks. Took off last week and I think the week before that, but I'm back this week to share a little bit about my plans for 2024 travel, as well as to talk a little bit about my 2023 travel year because it was quite a year. Um, I think I calculated that I have been on a plane every single month in 2023. Don't plan to do that in 2024. There's a lot of flying, even a lot for me. Um, but this was my year of yes, is what I called it. I don't know if anyone has read the book by Shonda Rhimes called The Year of Yes. Um, Big favorite book of mine. Really enjoyed reading it. And so I decided that this was going to be my year of yes. So let's talk a little bit about 2023 and then we'll talk about 2024. But first, I'm Anne Marie. Bald Girl Will Travel. I like to talk about solo travel and I like to encourage women, especially Black women, to travel for self care and to stop waiting for someone else to go with you and just book the plane, book the flight, and go. I always say life is short, book the flight, eat the dessert, buy the shoes, get the handbag, do what you want to do, make yourself happy. I also love to encourage those of us who are over 40, and especially those of us who are over 50, that there is no expiration to having style and enjoying fashion. So if those things appeal to you, click the subscribe button, follow me here and on all social media platforms. I'm Bold Girl Will Travel. So let's talk a little bit about 2023. 2023 is the year that I've traveled the most in my entire life, period. And I learned what my tolerance is for travel. It's quite high. But I will say I'm a little tired now, being off plane. Just got off a plane a couple days ago. And so I'm definitely going to have a slower year intentionally, 2024, but I'll still be doing a lot of travel in 2024. But I'm trying to make room to do other things as well. So I will be traveling less than I did this year. Because as I said, my feet touched the plane every single month of 2024. I'm pretty sure I did. And so next year, I'm going to intentionally travel less. I'm actually going to pull out my TripIt. I don't know about you guys, but I swear by TripIt. It helps keep me organized as I plan trips. It's an app that allows you to keep all your travel itineraries in one place. You can share them with other people and so on, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm not lying to y'all. So I'm looking to see whether there was any month this year that I did not travel. And it looks like, no, I was traveling in February as well. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every month, every month. And I have to look at this because I can't even like remember everywhere and everything that I did. But the highlights, I'll talk about the highlights because I'm not going to have time to talk about every single place that I went. And I don't think every single place that I went was that interesting. But I would say out of the 12 months of the year, I was traveling somewhere besides the United States for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times out of 12. So that's a lot. And in between there were trips that I took to go back to the US to visit my family. I also took an epic trip to Las Vegas to see Usher. I went to Baltimore in July. Hadn't really spent a lot of time in Baltimore, but I have to say I like Baltimore. Lived in Washington, D.C. for 20 plus years and really went to Baltimore a handful of times. And when I went, I would only go to the harbor. And I really enjoy Baltimore now. I highly recommend it. So that was something I learned in 2023 that, you can revisit things. You think you know something, and then you go back and find out that you don't know a place as well as you think you know it. So that's another thing. If you are joining in, you just can say hello in the chat so I can see who you are, but welcome and thanks for being here. So I kicked off 2023 with one of the best trips of the year and probably one of the best trips of my adult life. I went to Africa, to the continent of Africa, and I visited Senegal, Kenya, and Tanzania. And it was about 6 weeks. I think it was a 6 week trip. So it started in January and ended in February. And I started in Senegal, and then I headed to Kenya, which was my second time in Kenya. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Denise. Hi, Marcia. And then I went to Tanzania. So, of the three countries, two of them I'd never been to before, and one I was visiting for a second time. And I will say that, this is how I ended up deciding that Zanzibar had to be the first place that I did a meetup, because it was absolutely just beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen anywhere as beautiful as Zanzibar. And I thought Bali was the prettiest place I'd ever seen until I went to Zanzibar. I also walked with lions, did a lion walk in Senegal. So that was also a big highlight. I have to get that picture framed of me walking with the lions, of something that I did that I would never have thought that I would have done. But again, saying yes. My friend who lives in Senegal recommended it. And at first I was like, absolutely not. And then I remembered that I had promised myself at the end of 2022 that I was going to, as much as possible, say yes to new experiences and doing new things in 2023. So I said yes to the Lion Walk, and I absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it. The biggest disappointment of that trip was that I went to visit the pink lake that I'd seen beautiful pictures of in Senegal, and there was nothing pink about the lake. It was brown. I was told it was because they were just coming off of rainy season, which ended in December. I was there in the beginning of February, because that was my last stop on that trip. And so they said the water still had been impacted by the heavy rains, and that's why it wasn't pink. But that was a big disappointment, because I was really wanting to, go out in a pink lake. I still have never seen a pink lake. So that's still one of the things on my list. There's several of them in the world that I would like to see. One of the pink lakes. There's supposed to be a really pretty one in Mexico. So I have to figure out when's a good time to see that one. But it's in the south of Mexico, in Yucatan, I believe. But that was probably the highlights of my trip to Africa, was the Lion Walk in Senegal, the fantastic food I ate in Senegal, and Zanzibar. I liked Kenya. Kenya's nice. I recommend going, but I'd been there before. So I did go to the Nairobi Museum for the first time, which I really enjoyed. And I got to spend time with a friend who lives there. So that was really fun. But the best thing about that trip, hands down, was Zanzibar. And as you know, I will be going back to Zanzibar in January with a small group of Black women, doing my first meetup of 2024. Not, I have many meetups in 2024, but that will be my first one. Is happening in January, and I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about sharing Zanzibar with a group of women who are 40 and over, and I'm really looking forward to meeting them and having that experience with them. So I'm very excited about that. So that's the first trip of 2024 for me, will be Zanzibar. But in 2023, I also went to Tobago. And I've been going to Tobago since I was a little kid. Both of my parents were born on that island, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. But it's, like I said, it's one of the things I found this year is how you can go to a place and think you know a place, and then realize that you really don't. And I'd been going to Tobago since I was 9. I want to say was the first time I ever visited the island, and never saw many of the things I saw this year that made me fall in love with the island all over again. Um, I saw waterfalls that I didn't know existed. I saw beaches. I saw black sand beach. I never knew the island had a black sand beach. I just saw so many beautiful things. And so that was probably, and for sentimental reasons. And I also went on Mother's Day. And it was just something about being there for Mother's Day. I felt, I could feel that my mother was there, even though she's no longer in the world. So I really enjoyed that trip a lot. And it is another place that I'll be going back to in 2024 for another meetup. If you see a pattern here, I'm sure you do. Hi, Michelle. So that was probably the second place I went. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I've been going to Tobago forever. It's one of my favorite places. And I especially enjoy being there for Mother's Day now. So it's probably going to be a tradition of me going to Tobago for Mother's Day. And my meetup in Tobago will be over Mother's Day weekend again in 2024. And that trip is sold out, so there are no more spaces for that trip. But I'm very, very excited about taking. I think there are 12 of us going to Tobago, so I'm very excited about that trip as well. Um, and then where else did I go in the first part of the year? I think those were like the two places that I went that I thought were the most interesting. Then I went, excuse me, I did a trip to Colombia and I did Cartagena and Medellin. And I'll probably be honest that of all the places I went this year, I would probably say I was the least, probably the most underwhelmed by Colombia. Not saying I didn't enjoy it, but if I had to pick a place that I liked, but if I didn't go back to Colombia, I wouldn't feel like it was a big deal, put it that way. I enjoyed it, but it's not a place I really feel like a yearning to go back to. I thought it was fine, probably because of the time of year. If I were to go back to Colombia, I would definitely not go in June. It was, especially Cartagena, it was like epically humid and hot and just super uncomfortable, wildly uncomfortable for me because I don't like heat and humidity. So I kind of didn't enjoy it very much because I didn't really want to go outside a lot because of how hot it was. So that was probably the trip in 20 of this year that I probably enjoyed the least. Um, After the trip to Zanzibar, I would say that my trip to for my birthday, well, no, actually, I will say Las Vegas. And Las Vegas has been historically a place that I do not enjoy. But Raymond made me have a new appreciation for Las Vegas. I really enjoyed that weekend in Vegas. It was a quick weekend. It was literally in and out. And to me, that's the best way to see Las Vegas. Hi there, Michelle. Oh, you're going to be in the trip. I hope you have a good time. Um, Yes, Tobago is really, I really, really loved, like, fell in love with Tobago. And I've been going there forever. I actually also had, gained I've always loved Trinidad and I've spent a lot of time in Trinidad. I lived in Trinidad as a child, but I spent some time in Trinidad before I went to Tobago and I really enjoyed that as well. So I'm hoping to actually spend some more time in Trinidad on my way to Tobago again. So I eat some good, Trinidad to me has some of the best food in the world, and I like did like a really like super fast but food, like a little foodie excursion in Trinidad, and I had the best time on Arapita Avenue. So that was a whole other thing that I did that I really enjoyed that I hadn't done in a really long time. But back to Vegas. Still not my favorite place, but I would go back to see Usher. Put it that way. I loved it. I got to do a meet and greet with him. It was fabulous. He was really lovely, and the concert was great. Everything about that weekend was wonderful. It was like something that I'll probably be, sit old and gray talking about. And so Vegas, for the first time, I really enjoyed Vegas. Of all the times that I've been to Vegas, this was the first time I actually really, really enjoyed it. It's never been my favorite place. Um, and I think this is like my fourth time visiting Vegas, and I really enjoyed myself. And then, of course, I went back to my favorite place, my happy place, Italy, for my birthday in August. But I also revisited Paris. And again, the ongoing theme of going somewhere thinking that you don't like it or thinking that you don't know it, and thinking that you know all about it, and then finding out that you were wrong. Paris. I did not enjoy Paris the first time I went. I had really kind of been like, I'm not interested in going back to Paris, but I decided since I was going to go to Europe that I would go to London and then go to Paris. London, I love London. I hadn't been to London since 2017, I think. So I wanted to go back in 2018, one of those years. And then I decided, oh, I'll go take a couple days and go to Paris since it's right next door to London. Best decision ever. Absolutely enjoyed Paris. Definitely want to go back, though I definitely won't go anywhere near Paris in 2024 because of the Olympics. It's going to be crazy in the summer. If you're going to Paris, I would definitely say go in the spring or go in the fall after the Olympics, but do not go in the summer. Prices are going to be really expensive. It's going to be crazy. I'm not expecting that I'm going to go to Paris unless I see like a really crazy cheap ticket, which I don't think will happen. just because the Olympics next year is in Paris, especially in the summer months. I don't remember when the Olympics is. I think it's July. So I think anywhere from June to August, Paris will be very expensive and very booked. So not expecting to go back to Paris in 2024, but definitely would like to visit Paris again because I really, really enjoyed myself. And I've done a video about it. There are clips from my trip there and what I did, and it was wonderful. And I highly recommend Paris. Just don't go in high season, which is summer. Um, so that's another place that I revisited and found that I really did enjoy it. So I'm glad that I gave it another chance. And then, of course, Greece. I went to Greece for the first time in 2023. And even though I had a mishap where I severely sprained my ankle, I absolutely loved Greece. Definitely a place that I would like to return to. I'm actually already trying to figure out how I might be able to get back there in 2024, since it's right next door to Italy. So I'm thinking about maybe trying to get back to Greece either before or after my trip to Italy, and spending some more time there so I can visit some of the islands, because I didn't get to go to the islands because I sprained my ankle. I ended up staying in Athens. Enjoyed Athens as much as one with a severely sprained ankle could. But I really enjoyed Athens. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the food. I would love to go back there as well when I'm not hobbling around and in pain, in severe pain. My ankle is better now. I still don't feel it's 100%. I've been told that sometimes, ankles take a long time to heal if they're really injured. And I feel that's true. I don't feel pain on a regular basis, but I still feel like it's not 100%. It's close, but not there. So I'm still being very careful with it, with walking. But I feel I'm not in pain or anything like that. And the swelling for the most part is gone, but I can still tell that my where I sprained my ankle does not look completely the same as it did before I sprained my ankle. So there's that. But Greece was also a highlight trip for me. I really enjoyed it, but I don't feel like I will say it was one of my favorites because of the overall experience. But it's a place I definitely would recommend and would like to go back to. I had a really good experience there. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed shopping there. I enjoyed eating there. I enjoyed hanging out there. I enjoyed Athens a lot. I enjoyed the history, the culture, the museum, the Acropolis, everything. I loved it. Um, and then, of course, this year I did my bucket list trip to Egypt, which is a place that I had been wanting to visit since I was 10. I absolutely loved Egypt. I've heard positive and negative things about Egypt. I was really glad that I went and experienced Egypt for myself. I've done a video live about that. I've done a vlog about the entire trip where I shared like pretty much most of everything I did there. Um, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. But I will still say that the number one trip for me this year was my visit to Zanzibar. I was not expecting it to be as beautiful as it was. And so that's a trip that, someone asked me what was my number one favorite place I went in 2023. I would have to say that. And a close second would be Egypt and Greece. And of course, I enjoyed Sicily, but I've been to Sicily before. I went to Sicily for my birthday, did things that I enjoyed doing in Sicily, went to my favorite restaurant, and all of that, which happens to be a Senegalese restaurant, actually, in Palermo. But I wouldn't count that because I've been there before. But of the places I'd never been before, I would definitely say the top three were Zanzibar, um, Greece, and Egypt. And then, of course, I have a trip to Ghana coming up. And this will be my second time visiting Ghana. But to me, it's probably more like my first time visiting Ghana, because the first time I went to Ghana, I was working the entire time and I barely got to see anything. I got to go to um, Cape Coast Castle and see the door of no return there and do the tour there. But I did not do anything else, literally, besides being in a hotel working. I think we went out to dinner one night at a restaurant, but besides that, I really don't feel like I know that much about Ghana at all. So I'm actually really looking forward to going back and having a more, you know, like a visitor, being a visitor, not being there as a working person who just happens to be visiting. I literally had one morning, I think, to go to the Cape Coast. I literally went to Cape Coast Castle, back to my hotel, got my bags, and went to the airport. Literally. I saw nothing else, but I made sure that the morning, since I wasn't flying out till the evening, I made sure that I did that one thing that I always wanted to do, which I highly recommend. And I will be doing it again. I believe this will be the last time I ever do it, but I will be doing it again. I really don't like um, those kinds of experiences. I think they're good to have, but I don't enjoy them. And I feel like there's more to our history than slavery. And so it's not something that I really plan to do again, but I am going to do it with a group this time. So I'm going to do that as part of the excursion. More than likely, I'm going to do it. Knowing me, I could wake up and decide I'm not doing it. But right now, I plan to do it. But I have done it before. And I also went to Goree Island in Senegal as well, um, which was also very interesting. But so that was where, when I did Goree Island, I was kind of like, I don't think I want to do one of these things again. I've now done Cape Coast and I've done Goree Island. But I may do Cape Coast Castle again, just because it's going to be a little bit of a different type of experience, and I'll share more of it after it's over. If I do it, I may do it again. So that's how I'm ending 2023, God willing, is Ghana, and then I am going back to Zanzibar. So 2024 is, like I said, lots of travel. The other trips that I went besides those trips that I just mentioned were, back and forth to other places for personal reasons that weren't really vacations. So I don't really count those, but I was literally on a plane every month this year, literally, sometimes more than once. I have a lot of stuff going on personally as well. So there's a lot of flying around. But next year, I'm kicking off my meetup trips. This is something I've been thinking about doing for a couple of years because people would always ask me about my trips and ask me if they could go on trips and so on. So I decided to do some small group trips for people like me, Black women my age who want to travel, don't feel brave enough to go by themselves, or people who are veteran travelers but would like to meet up in places that I've gone, or some of my favorite places, or would like to just go on a trip with me. All the places that I am going in 2024 are places on my meetup trips, are places I have been to before. They're some of my favorite places that I've been to, or places that I really wanted to go back to for other reasons. And so next year, I'm doing 7 trips, meetup trips right now. They're not going to be more. I just added one, and I'm still deciding whether I'm going to do it or whether I'm going to cancel it, to be honest, which is Bali. So I'm looking at it and I'm deciding. I'll make a decision soon. But I added a trip to Bali in June because I want to go to Bali. I mean, I'm probably going to Bali in June regardless, but I haven't, we'll see what the response to that trip is. But I'll make a decision in January about whether I'm going to keep the trip on the roster or not. But I'm doing a trip to Zanzibar, as I said, in January. And in February, I'm doing a trip. I'm going to Negril, Jamaica, which is a place I've been to Jamaica many, many, many times, but not recently. And I kind of missed it. Jamaica's a fun place. And so I decided to do a group trip there, and it sold out very quickly. Um, and it's possible that I may have one opening. I'll know soon whether I do. There may be a person that's not actually going on the trip. So if that's the case, I will be sharing it in my group Facebook group. I'll give people an opportunity to take that spot if they want it. And I'll share more information about that if that's the case, probably this week. So if you're not a member of that group, you might want to join it. I will not be sharing it anywhere else. But February, that's February. We'll be going to the grill. We're going to be doing all the things. We're going to be doing a catamaran cruise. We're going to be doing the 7 Mile Beach and Rick's Cafe. We're doing a bar crawl on a bus. We're going to be doing some fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to that trip. And then that's February. I don't have any trips planned for March, and I don't plan to have any trips in March because I just think I'm going to give myself a little break, like intentionally not traveling. And in April, I have a trip to Turkey, to Istanbul and Cappadocia that I will be doing in April. I went to Turkey for work back in 2018, I want to say. Really enjoyed the country. Did not get to see as much of it as I wanted because I was working. So I'm very excited to be going back with a small group. Right now, it's a pretty small group of us that are going, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you can get information about all the trips in the description of this video. There are links um, to information about where I'm going. And in that's April. In May, as I mentioned before, I'm going back to Tobago, which I'm very excited about doing. It's a full, like I said, that trip sold out very quickly, which really made me happy because Tobago's not a well-known island, so I wasn't sure if people were going to want to go there with me. So I was pleasantly surprised that the trip sold out pretty quickly. It sold out like in, I want to say August. So that is May. We're doing that Mother's Day. And then I decided to add Bali. And initially I was just going to do it by myself, but then I was like, I did a survey in my group, and Bali turned out to be the number one place that people said they wanted to go. So I set up a group. But so far, I'll be honest, no one has booked the trip. So if no one books, soon, I'm probably going to just close it and go by myself, which was my original plan anyway. Bali is probably the second most beautiful place I've ever seen in the world. And I remember how much I loved it when I went the first time. I remember not wanting to leave. I mean, I remember literally sitting on the plane and crying because I didn't want to leave. And I had to leave because I had already paid for my hotel at my next destination and I couldn't get a refund. So I had to leave, but I wanted to extend my trip because I loved it there so much. So I'm really excited about going back to Bali, whether I go with other people or that I just go by myself. And that will be June. Then I am planning to take off the next 2 months of the year. I'm sure I may, go somewhere nearby where I live, but I'm not planning to like be in Europe or Africa or anywhere that requires more than an hour or two for me to get there. Because I'm going to just give myself a break. Because all that flying around this year has definitely, I know that has taken a toll. So I'm definitely intentionally not going to be doing that to myself next year. So my plan is to take a little break, and I know I'm going somewhere for my birthday in August. I don't know yet where I'm going. I know where I would like to go. I would like to go to Ireland and or Scotland. I have not yet figured out that trip, but I'm still like trying to figure out whether I can find a flight. I'd seen a flight, but I missed out on it, for a long story. And so I'm still tracking to see if I see another good rate come down the pike for me to do Ireland and or Scotland for my birthday. And if I don't do that, I have some other places in mind for my birthday. Usually like to be at the beach, but this year I spent it in Europe and I actually enjoyed it. So if I'm not in Ireland or Scotland for my birthday this year, I'll find somewhere with a nice beach to spend for my birthday. Still trying to decide whether I'm going to go somewhere that I've been before that I really like or somewhere I've never been. I'm just watching Going, and I have a couple other websites that send me deals. And so I'm keeping an eye on that to see what comes down the pike. Another place that I would like to visit and I'm keeping an eye on is Peru. I've been wanting to go to Peru for a while. I didn't go this year because there were some issues there. Sounds like those things have resolved. So I have an eye out. If I see a good deal, I may pop on over to Peru. Peru's not that far from where I live. I live in Mexico. Most of the time I live in Mexico. So it will not be too hard for me to get there. It wouldn't be a long flight is what I'm saying if I need to get over to Peru from here. And then in September, I am doing 2 trips to Italy. So I will be, God willing, in Italy for the whole month of September. So that's why I'm thinking either trying to add a trip to Greece on the front or the back of that trip, because it's pretty close to where I'm going to be in Italy. So getting back and forth shouldn't be too bad price wise. But September, I'm doing a meetup in Tuscany. The first part of the trip is a week in Tuscany that where I put together. It's going to be a really great trip. I'm very excited about it because of the types of experiences I was able to put together with this company that I'm working with. It's pretty much it's not just a Florence trip, which is not what I wanted. I really wanted people to experience that region of Italy, which I really think doesn't get the attention it should because everybody just goes to Florence, which is my favorite city in the world. But when the last time I was in Florence, I decided to do some tours around the region and I just was blown away by it. And so I was like, I want people to see other parts of Tuscany besides Florence, and not obvious places. So, for example, I'm intentionally not doing the Leaning Tower of Pisa, though people will have time to themselves if they want to do that, because Pisa is probably about an hour's drive from Florence. But I'm not doing that as a part of it. I'm instead doing Siena. We're going to do a tour of Chianti. We're going to do a tour of a town called Lucca and Vico Pisano, which I went to for the first time in 2021 and just absolutely loved it. Was that 21 or 22? I think it might have been 2021 though. 2022. It was spring 2022. Um, so I'm doing that in that trip. And then and I'm also going to be doing a shopping excursion because you can't really go to Florence and not shop. It's like, that would just be wrong. So I just added that on. So I'm going to do a shopping excursion to the premium outlet called the Mall of Firenze. We're going to do that. And there's going to be multiple lunches and dinners. We're doing a truffle based dinner as the farewell dinner, because it will be truffle season. So we're going to this restaurant and they're going to cook us a dinner featuring black truffles is the featured item on the menu. So that should be really interesting. So it's going to be a really great trip. And there are lots of spaces in case you're interested in that particular trip. We have several spaces still left for that trip. It will be September 16th to the 22nd, I think. Yes, September 16th to the 22nd. And then 3 days after that trip, my trip to Taormina, Sicily begins. That trip is from the 25th to the 30th. If you have been following me, you know how much I love Sicily. And you know how much I love Taormina. I think Taormina is now getting, now people know about it, which, is a good and bad thing because HBO did a show and based it there. So now people know about it. But it was a place that several of my friends that live in Italy told me about. And so I went there and I loved it. In September 2021, me and some friends did a trip, and I did part of the trip by myself and part of it with my friends. And one of the places I went by myself was to Taormina and Catania. You have to fly into Catania to get to Taormina. So I flew into Catania, spent some time in Catania, which I really enjoyed. But Taormina was just outstanding. It's just beautiful. Sorry, there's a dog barking. Just a beautiful, beautiful place. I think it's right up there with, Positano and Capri, but just not as expensive. Now, it's more expensive now than it was when I went, but it's still less expensive than spending, if you want to spend a week in Capri or Positano, it would cost you more. So I'm doing a trip there, a group trip there. That trip is almost sold out. It's so funny because I was expecting Tuscany to sell out really fast and that people wouldn't really be that interested in Taormina. And I put Taormina out there and it was like people started booking pretty quickly. And I think I have 2 spots left for Taormina. But I'm really excited about that trip as well. I feel like the supplier I worked with knocked it out of the park. I kind of told them the things that I really wanted included in the trip. All of the trip, everything, every excursion, including in Tuscany, are private guided excursions. So the people who go on the trip we will have our own tour guide, our own tour bus, our own tour everything. We won't be with other people. On some of the other trips that I'm doing, we will be with other people. But on those two trips, everything is like very, very um like concierge level. It's really great. I'm very excited about it. But because I wanted Taormina to be that kind of experience for people. It's so pretty there. It's hard to explain how pretty it is. Um, and the food and the people are so lovely and everything about it. And it's like a really like it's like a really small has a really small town, even though it's not a tiny place, but it's just a lovely. I just loved everything about it. And there's like this coliseum there, so we're going to be doing an excursion, like a walking tour of Taormina itself. We're going to be doing a boat, a catamaran cruise. We're going to be doing a dinner. The farewell dinner is going to also be on a boat, and we're going to have a chef on board that's going to be cooking everything. We're going to do a excursion to Catania, which is another place I really enjoy. Catania has great food, and y'all know how I feel about good food. So we're going to do a day trip to Catania as well while we're there. I believe Termina is 5 days, 5 nights, 6 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a relaxing place. The hotel we're staying in is beautiful, has a pool and is on the ocean, and all the rooms that we have reserved are ocean view rooms. So I'm very excited about the hotel as well because it's really pretty. So that is what I will be doing in September, and then in October, I am still trying to decide what I want to do. I may not do anything because I might need another break, but I really want to get back to Portugal. And so don't be surprised if you find out that it's October and I'm still in Europe, because I really want to go back to Portugal. And the reason I want to go back to Portugal is I want to go to the Azores Islands, and I want to go after high season. High season ends in the summer. So I want to go when it's not crowded with people. And I really want to go back to Portugal as well. So I'm trying to figure out whether it's I can get there and it won't be. I don't want to go when it's like it's too cold or the water's cold, but I also want to go when it's not crowded. So I really want to go back to Portugal, and to get to Azores, you got to go through Portugal. So I'm trying to figure that out right now as well. And I'm also considering that I may end up, if I can't get to Ireland or Scotland for my birthday, then I may try to fit one of those places in October, because I definitely don't want to leave Europe and then come back to Europe. So I'm trying to decide after Italy if there's anywhere else I want to go and I can get a cheap ticket to get there and get a decent deal in a hotel to get there, then I may stay and do Scotland or Ireland. It'll definitely be somewhere that I haven't been yet. So I'm very interested on the Azores. I'm very interested in Scotland and Ireland, because those are three places that I've had on my list that I haven't gotten to go to. Oh, one other thing I meant to mention is in January, I managed to figure out a trip to the Mauritius, the Republic of Mauritius, which is another island on the Indian Ocean. I wanted to go to the Seychelles, but I couldn't figure it out. Traveling around Africa is very challenging. Like, just getting from one country to the other can be very challenging. I shared in another live that I did the hoops I had to jump through just to get from Tanzania to Mauritius, even though they aren't that far apart. I'm literally having to fly south and then come back east to get there. And it's not inexpensive to fly. So I had to pick a place. And so I decided to do Mauritius, but I'm very excited because I've never been there and I've been wanting to go. So I'm really hoping that next year I'll have an opportunity to do some places, in addition to going places that I really enjoy and love with other people that I'm taking along with me. my plan is for all of my solo trips to be places that I've never been before. So I'm super, super, super duper excited about 2024 and the plans. I'm like, seriously, like every morning when I get up, I make my coffee and then I sit on my laptop and I check my emails to see what kind of deals are coming down the pike. And I'm planning to do a live next week where I will kind of show you guys like where I'm going right now to find trips, because I've added some new places and I'm monitoring. In addition to going, I found some other places that have been really great. So I'm looking at some other places and I'll share that with you guys about places that I am sites that I've discovered that I may be able to find good trips on, good packages on for trips, because that's really the way to go. And to kind of go places when the deal presents itself. It's not so if you find that I broke my promise about not traveling in July or August, it'll be because a deal came down the pike that was really good. And I was like, I can't pass this up. So I guess I'm going. Otherwise, I will not be going anywhere. But if there's a really great deal that shows up, I'm going to book the flight. I'm always going to book the flight if a good deal shows up. And so I found, this past Black Friday and Travel Tuesday and Cyber Monday, overall, for me, from a travel and fashion style perspective, was very underwhelming. I just felt like I didn't see any great travel deals. I saw some good travel deals, like maybe back in August and November, and I shared some of them in my Facebook group that I found. But I just was not impressed by anything that I saw except for one site that I have access to because I have I have a travel agent number. Even I'm not a formal travel agent. I don't book flights and trips for other people, but I have access unless it's one of my group trips. I don't do that. So basically, I'm saying don't call me to ask me to help you find a cruise on Disney, because I don't do that. But there's one company that actually had some good packages that I saw. They weren't the places I was necessarily interested in, but there was a couple places. But I did not see a lot of good deals on Tuesday, and I was looking. I was very underwhelmed. I mean, there were certain airlines that were doing specials, but not to anywhere that I wanted to go. Like Southwest was having a sale, but every single thing that I wanted to, every place airport I wanted to fly between, they didn't have anything. So I still ended up using points that I had with United to book a trip that I needed to book. I just was very underwhelmed with the so-called deals. And I felt the same way about the Black Friday, with the exception of Amazon and Saks Fifth Avenue, I would say. Not Saks Fifth Avenue, Saks off Fifth had some really great deals if you're a shopper like me. But and Amazon just had good deals on everything, like everything. I'm gonna do a video um soon about some really great new gadgets that I've gotten from my trip, getting ready to pack for my trip to Africa. And I found some new little things that I needed, and I got them on Amazon's Black Friday, Cyber Monday. One of those two sales, I got some things from them. So I felt like Amazon had some good deals, and they've been running those deals like the week before the holiday. They started running specials, and they started running them right through it. They think they still have a couple going, but they had some really good prices on a lot of things on Amazon.com. But I was not particularly impressed with any of the other like companies. I mean, I saw companies giving 10% off and calling it a sale, which I just thought was absurd. I think anything less than 25% off or more is not a real sale. That's just how I feel about things. If you want to call it a sale, it needs to be, I mean, honestly, 35, 40, 50%, that's a sale. 10% and 20% is not a sale. So I was very underwhelmed by what I saw, especially in the travel area. I just was not um, excited by, and I was really excited on Tuesday morning. Thought I was going to find some things, but I just didn't. So that was disappointing. Yes, Italy. Well, Italy is my happy place. I love Italy. So I think, and I really wanted Italy's a place that a lot of people want to go, and for whatever reason haven't gotten there. So I wanted people to have the kind of experience that made is this reason why I love Italy so much. So I definitely think it's a place that everyone should visit. Kind of how I feel about the African continent. I think everyone should visit Italy at least once, and I think every person should visit the African continent at least once or twice because it's so big and there's so many different countries and they're all so different. I mean, I don't feel I've even scratched the surface with Africa. Um, as I start thinking forward to the next year, I'm already like thinking about places that I haven't yet been in Africa that I would like to visit. South Africa and Zimbabwe are very high up on that list. So that's another place that I really feel you should go. And South America, I also feel, which is very close to where I live, I feel like I haven't, gotten to that, spent enough time there yet. I've only ever been to one country in South America. And so I don't think I'm going to squeeze any of those places in 2024, but I'm definitely already making a list for 2025 of places that I hope to get to, God willing. Um, and I want it to be South America and Africa, the two places I've really been like, I want to visit some places in both of those continents because I have not, I've not been to Costa Rica. I've not been to, what's the other country? I haven't been to Panama. I've been through Panama, but not in Panama. I haven't been to Belize. I haven't been to any of those places. I would like to go to Brazil. Um, where else? I would like to go to Ecuador. And as I said, I would like to go to Peru. So I'm really hoping to spend more time in South and Central America after 2024 because my trips for 2024 are pretty much set. And I think I don't want to be on a plane every month of next year like I was this year. That's out of the question for me. So I'm making choices about where I'm going to go. And a lot of them are driven by the trips that I've already planned to do meetups and then the trips that I'm planning to add for myself. So I think I'm pretty clear on what I want to do for 2024. So anywhere else would have to be later. And someone had asked me about taking a group to Egypt. I'm still thinking about that. I haven't decided yet. It definitely won't be in 2024 though. Because there's a lot of things I would have to get organized for Egypt. Egypt's not a place I'm just gonna, yeah, it's some place I have to really think about because there are lots of different things, check boxes that have to be checked to make sure people have a good and safe experience there. And so I still have to think about Egypt. But I definitely think it's a place that you should go. It should be on your list for real. I mean, Egypt was really good. So that kind of covers my plans. Does anyone have any questions or want to share places they're planning to go in 2024? That kind of covers my 2023 and 2024 years. Yeah, I mean, this year was really great. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of flying though. And I don't know if I've shared this before, but I get anxiety when I fly. I do it because it's the only way I'm going to get where I want to go. But I'm not a laissez-faire flyer. I get anxiety. Sometimes I get many panic attacks and I get anxious sometimes being on planes. So flying that often was a lot for me, but boy, did I have a good time. I saw stuff and got to do things this year with it that was just epic, but all that flying was a lot. That between the trips and then other personal life things that I had to fly for, it was a lot of flying this year. So I definitely don't want to be doing all of that in the next year. So I definitely don't plan to travel as much as I am this year. Um, Traveling a lot for the average person, but not as much as I did this year or last year. So that's my plan. For 2023 and 2024. Yes, Jennifer. I mean, I agree with you. The prices for Black Friday were just nothing special. I felt like there were actually some really good deals leading up to it. Like the week before and the couple days before Black Friday, I bought some things on some really good sales, but not over the Black Friday weekend. I was really underwhelmed by what I saw. And what I saw a lot of stores do was They started running their sales before Black Friday, and then they just kept the same price. Best Buy was one of them, you know. And Best Buy used to be my go-to for Black Friday. And I just was underwhelmed because I felt like the pricing they put out, they started their sale like a week, like the beginning of the week or the Friday before, and they didn't change the price. The prices were basically the same. There are a couple of things that might have been a little bit lower on that day, but the things that I was looking at, they weren't cheaper. No, I do not plan to do any meetups in SMA. I don't. When I'm at home, I don't want to be working, and meetups are work for me. So no, I don't plan to. I think if you want to visit SMA, though, I think Michelle Wedderburn, I don't know if you follow her, but she does a lot of things here and organizes experiences here in SMA. And I know someone else who's getting ready to do stuff here. So I kind of feel that this market is pretty saturated. And yes, there are things unique to me that I like to do here. But when I'm here at home, I don't want to be working. A lot of times I am working when I'm here, but I don't want to be working when I'm here in that way. So no, I don't plan on doing any meetups in SMA. Not anytime soon. That could change, but right now I'm not. But if you're interested in doing anything, you can DM me or something because I can connect you with um, people who are like Black women who are doing stuff here that can hook you up if you want to come here. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, next week, I think I'm going to be sharing some tips with you guys about how to find good pricing. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it interactively. If I don't figure that out, then I may do something else because I want to literally show you how I do it as well as share some of the websites that I use, but I'm still figuring out how to do that. My tech skills are like not quite there yet, but if I figure it out in time, then I will do that. If I don't, then I may talk about something. But next week will be my last live of 2023. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to talk about. But if there's something else you want me to talk about, you can drop it in the comments to this video and I'll give it a look. But right now I am, travel flight prices is front of mind for me right now. Because y'all know I like to book early, but I actually am intentionally not booking early the way I did last year because this year I saw a lot of really great deals in the spring and summer for fall. And since I don't plan to travel much in the summer, but I'm thinking I may be traveling in the fall, I decided to wait and not book a whole lot of things early. Instead, wait till I see a deal come into my mailbox and then grab it when I see it. Because I know where I want to go. And like I said, Ireland, Scotland, Peru are very high up on my list. So I've been looking to see what I see in that regard. You're welcome, Michelle. Um, Anything else? I don't see any other questions. So thanks you guys for being here. It's always fun to chat with you guys. Hi, Margie. I will see you guys next week, God willing. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I meant to say that at the beginning, and a good holiday weekend. And I hope you all are enjoying getting ready for Christmas if you celebrate it, and just the holiday season if you're in the States or anywhere else. And I hope you guys have a good weekend and a good week. And I'll see you guys at my next live next week, God willing. Bye.